The morning sun cast long shadows across the green fields of New Busan. Hante wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked the soil with his old farming tools. The air smelled of fresh earth and growing crops. His sister Na sat nearby, humming a soft tune while she fed their pet songbird Dal. The little yellow bird chirped happily in its cage, filling the quiet farm with music. Tae was only 16, but he had been taking care of Na for 3 years now. Their parents died in a transport accident when Na was just 10. Since then, Tae worked hard every day to grow enough food to feed them both. Their small farm was all they had left in the world. "Tae, come see this," Na called out. She pointed to their old communication screen that showed news from across the galaxy. Tae walked over, his boots heavy with mud from the fields. The news reporter looked scared as she spoke. "The creature has destroyed another military base," the woman said. Her voice shook as she read from her papers. "Admiral Kim reports that all ships in the Centauri system have been lost. The beast shows no signs of slowing down." Tae sat down next to his sister. They had been hearing about this monster for weeks now. People called it the Void Stalker. It came from somewhere far away in space, beyond any known star system. The creature was huge, bigger than the largest buildings in the cities. Its dark shell could not be broken by any weapon humans had. "Where did it come from?" Na asked. Her young face showed worry that made Tae's heart hurt. "Nobody knows," Tae said softly. He put his arm around her small shoulders. "But it's very far away. We're safe here on New Busan." The news continued with more terrible reports. The Void Stalker had attacked 12 different star systems in the past month. Each time it destroyed military ships and bases, then moved on. Nobody understood why it chose certain targets. Nobody could stop it. The creature was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Military reports described it as standing 200 meters tall. Its body was covered in thick black armor that looked like the shell of some giant insect. It had 6 powerful legs that could tear through metal and rock. Its head was long and pointed with no visible eyes. Most frightening of all, it moved through space without any ship or engines that humans could see. On the screen, Admiral Park Min spoke from his command ship. His gray hair and lined face showed the stress of recent battles. "We are gathering our strongest fleet to stop this threat," he said. "Every available ship is being called to defend our colonies." Tae turned off the screen. He did not want Na to hear more scary news, but he could not stop thinking about the creature. What did it want? Why was it attacking human settlements? Where would it go next? That afternoon, as Tae worked in the fields, he saw military ships flying overhead. They moved in formation toward the orbital defense platform above New Busan. More ships arrived every hour. The sky filled with the bright trails of engines as the largest fleet in human history gathered above their peaceful planet. Na ran out to the fields where Tae was working. "Look at all the ships," she said, pointing up at the sky. Dal sat on, her shoulder chirping at the flying machines above. "They're here to protect us," Tae said. But he felt worried. If so many ships were coming to New Busan, maybe the creature was heading here too. That evening, the communication screen came alive with an emergency message. The face of Governor Lee appeared, looking very serious. "All citizens of New Busan must prepare for possible evacuation," he announced. "The hostile entity has changed course and is now heading toward our system." Tae's heart sank. Nae grabbed his hand tightly. Around them, their peaceful farm suddenly felt very small and fragile. "We should pack our things," Na said quietly. Tae looked around at their home. The small house where they had lived all their lives, the fields their father had planted, the place where their parents were buried behind the old oak tree. "No," he said finally. "This is our home. We'll stay and take care of it." The next few days were filled with activity. Military vehicles drove down the dirt roads near their farm. Soldiers set up large weapons in the hills. The sky buzzed constantly with fighter ships and transport vessels. Many of their neighbors packed up and left for the safety of the inner colonies. But Tay and Na stayed. Tay continued to work the fields, though his hands shook sometimes when he thought about what was coming. Na sang to Dal and helped with the daily chores. They tried to keep their normal routine, even as the world around them prepared for war. On the fourth night, Tai stood outside their house and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Void Stalker was coming. Military leaders said it would arrive within days. He thought about all the brave soldiers and pilots who would fight to protect New Busan. He wondered if their weapons would be enough this time. Na came out and stood beside him. Dal perched on her finger, sleeping peacefully. "Are you scared?" she asked. Tay wanted to lie and say no, but Na was smart for her age. She would know if he was not telling the truth. "Yes," he said, "but we'll take care of each other, just like always." "Maybe it won't be as bad as people think," Na said hopefully. Tay hugged his sister close. Above them, the defense fleet moved across the stars like glowing dots. Soon those ships would face the creature that had destroyed every military force sent against it. Tay could only hope that this time would be different. The wind blew across their fields, making the crops wave like an ocean. Dal woke up and sang a few notes into the night air. The simple melody drifted across their farm and faded into the darkness. Somewhere far above, in the cold space between stars, something massive moved toward their world. Tay did not know that. In just a few days, everything he thought he knew about the universe would change. He did not know that his little sister's gift for music would become the key to saving not just New Busan, but all of humanity. He did not know that the terrible creature heading their way was not the monster people believed it to be. For now, he was just a young farmer holding his sister under the stars, trying to be brave in the face of the unknown. The quiet farm held them both as the galaxy prepared for what might be its final battle. Dal sang one more soft note, then tucked his head under his wing. The night grew still, waiting for the storm to come. Admiral Park Min stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the largest military force in human history prepare for battle. 12 massive dreadnoughts floated in perfect formation around New Busan. 400 fighter ships moved between them like schools of fish. The orbital defense platform bristled with weapons that could destroy entire cities. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his communications officer. Park nodded grimly. He had fought in 3 wars and commanded fleets for 20 years. But he had never faced anything like the Void Stalker. The reports from other battles were all the same. The creature appeared, destroyed everything in its path, then vanished into deep space. No human weapon had ever damaged it. "Sir, we're getting readings on the edge of the system," the sensor officer announced. "Something big is coming through hyperspace." Park gripped the rail of his command platform. "All ships to battle stations. Prepare primary weapons." On the planet below, General Kim Do watched the sky through his field glasses. He had positioned artillery units across 3 continents. Massive plasma cannons sat ready in hidden bunkers. If the space battle failed, he would be New Busan's last line of defense. "General, the creature has arrived," his aide reported. Kim raised his glasses again. Far above, a dark shape emerged from the emptiness between stars. Even from the planet's surface, he could see that the Void Stalker was enormous. It drifted slowly toward the human fleet, its black shell reflecting no light. In space, Admiral, Park stared at his enemy for the first time. The creature was even larger than the reports suggested. Its insect-like body stretched nearly 300 meters from head to tail. 6 massive legs curled beneath it, each one ending in claws that could tear through starship armor. Its head was long and narrow, with no visible eyes or mouth. "All ships, open fire," Park commanded. The darkness of space erupted in light. Energy beams lanced out from every human ship. Missiles streaked toward the creature in bright streams. The orbital platform's main cannon fired a beam so powerful it lit up half the planet below. The weapons struck the Void Stalker's shell and simply vanished. Energy beams scattered harmlessly off its dark armor. Missiles exploded against its hide without leaving a mark. The creature drifted through the attack as if nothing was happening. Then it moved. The Void Stalker's speed shocked everyone. One moment it hung motionless in space. The next, it shot toward the human fleet faster than any ship could match. Its claws extended as it reached the first dreadnought. The massive warship's shields flared and died instantly. The creature's claws punched through the hull like it was made of paper. In seconds, the ship broke apart in a ball of fire and debris. "Evasive maneuvers!" Park shouted. But the creature was already moving to its next target. The Void Stalker did not attack randomly. It seemed to understand human military tactics. It targeted command ships first, then weapons platforms, then support vessels. Each attack was precise and devastating. The creature learned from each encounter, adapting its approach to counter human defenses. Fighter ships swarmed around the creature like angry insects. Their weapons fire had no effect, but they tried to distract it from the larger vessels. The Void Stalker ignored most of them. But when a group of fighters formed an attack pattern, one of the creature's claws would sweep out and destroy them all. Admiral Park watched his fleet die around him. Ships that had taken years to build were torn apart in seconds. Crews that had trained together for decades were gone in flashes of light. The creature showed no mercy and no hesitation. "Sir, we've lost 8 dreadnoughts," his aide reported. The young man's voice cracked with fear. Park looked at the tactical display. More than half his fleet was already destroyed. The creature had not even been scratched. "Signal general retreat," he ordered, but the Void Stalker was not finished. As the remaining ships tried to escape, it moved to block their path. Its massive form seemed to be everywhere at once. Ships that tried to flee found themselves trapped between the creature's claws and its armored body. The orbital defense platform fired again, trying to help the escaping ships. The Void Stalker turned toward the massive structure in one smooth motion. It struck the platform with both front claws. The station that had protected New Busan for 50 years cracked in half and began falling toward the planet. "All ships, emergency jump to hyperspace," Park transmitted. Only 3 dreadnoughts and a handful of fighters were left. As they prepared to flee, the creature turned its attention to Park's flagship. The Admiral felt his ship shudder as the Void Stalker's claws grabbed the hull. Through the bridge windows, he could see the creature's head just meters away. For a moment, he thought he saw something that looked like curiosity in the way it held his ship. Then the creature released them and turned away. Park's ship was damaged but not destroyed. As they limped away from the battle, he looked back at the Void Stalker. The creature was moving toward New Busan's atmosphere, descending slowly toward the planet below. "Get me a communication line to General Kim," Park ordered. His hands shook as he realized what was about to happen. On the planet, General Kim watched pieces of the orbital platform streak across the sky like falling stars. Burning debris from the space battle rained down on the outer continents. The most powerful fleet humanity had ever assembled was gone in less than 6 hours. "General, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Park," his communications officer said. Park's face appeared on the screen, covered in blood from a head wound. "The fleet is destroyed. The creature is heading for the surface. You're on your own now." Kim closed his eyes for a moment. He had hoped the space battle would stop the creature. Now it was up to his ground forces to protect New Busan. "Understood, Admiral. We'll do what we can." In his farm, Tae held Na close as they watched the light show in the sky. Burning metal fell like rain in the distance. The ground shook as pieces of destroyed ships hit the planet's surface. "Is it over?" Na asked quietly. Tae looked up and saw a dark shape moving through the clouds above them. The Void Stalker was descending toward New Busan, its massive form blocking out the stars. "No," he whispered. it's just beginning. The creature landed in the ocean 50 kilometers from the main city. The impact sent waves crashing onto the shore and shook the ground for hundreds of kilometers. When the water settled, the Void Stalker began walking toward land. General Kim's artillery opened fire as soon as the creature came within range. Plasma cannons and railguns pounded the Void Stalker as it emerged from the sea. The weapons that could destroy entire buildings barely seemed to annoy it. The creature paused at the shoreline and turned its head toward the largest city. Then it began walking inland, each step leaving massive footprints in the earth. Behind it, the ocean still boiled from its landing. Tay watched the distant explosions light up the horizon. Somewhere in that battle, brave soldiers were fighting an impossible enemy. The most advanced weapons humanity possessed were useless against the creature's armor. As night fell over New Busan, the Void Stalker continued its slow march across the planet. No one knew where it was going or what it wanted. All they knew was that nothing could stop it. The boy who would change everything stood in his field holding his sister's hand, watching the end of the world approach one giant step at a time. 3 days had passed since the great battle in space. The Void Stalker moved slowly across New Busan, leaving a trail of destruction behind it. But Tay noticed something strange about the creature's path. It was not destroying everything like people said. Instead, it seemed to be looking for specific targets. Tay watched the news reports on their old communication screen. The creature had destroyed 2 military communication towers and a research station, but it walked past farms, cities, and civilian buildings without touching them. Why would a mindless monster be so careful about what it attacked? "I need to get supplies from town," Tay told Na. The nearest settlement was 5 kilometers away. Most people had evacuated, but some stores might still have food and medical supplies. "I want to come with you," Na said. Dal sat on her shoulder, preening his bright yellow feathers. "It's too dangerous," Tay replied. "Stay here and take care of the farm." Tay took his father's old transport bike and rode toward town. The roads were empty except for abandoned vehicles and military supply trucks racing toward the front lines. In the distance, he could see smoke rising from where the creature had passed. The town looked like a ghost settlement. Most buildings were empty, their doors hanging open. Broken glass covered the streets where people had dropped things while fleeing. Tay found a medical clinic that still had supplies and filled his backpack with bandages and medicine. As he prepared to leave, he heard a sound from behind the clinic. Someone was crying softly. Tay followed the sound and found a young woman in a torn naval uniform sitting against a wall. Her left arm was wrapped in bloody cloth. "Are you hurt?" Tay asked, approaching carefully. The woman looked up. She had short black hair and tired eyes. "My name is Lee Sun. I'm a communications officer from Admiral Park's flagship." She winced as she tried to move her injured arm. Tay helped her stand. "What happened to you?" "My escape pod crashed 2 days ago," Sun explained. "I've been hiding here since then." "The creature... It's not what we thought it was." Sun let Tay bandage her arm properly while she explained what she had discovered. "I was monitoring the creature's energy patterns during the battle. Every time it attacked, it was targeting our communication equipment specifically. Not our weapons, not our engines. Our communication arrays." "Why would it care about communication equipment?" Tay asked. "I think it's following our signals," Sun said. "The creature's attack started right after we activated the Deep Space Listening Array. That system sends powerful signals into deep space, looking for alien civilizations." Tay thought about this as he helped Sun onto his transport bike. "You mean the signals might have called it here?" "Maybe," Sun said. "Or maybe the signals are hurting it somehow. Either way, it's trying to destroy the source." They rode back to Tay's farm in silence. Tay's mind raced with new questions. If Lieutenant Sun was right, then the creature might not be attacking out of evil or hunger. It might be trying to stop something that was causing it pain. When they arrived at the farm, Na ran out to meet them. "Tay, the creature is coming this way. I can see it from the hill." Tay looked where his sister pointed. About 10 kilometers. Away, the massive dark shape of the Void Stalker moved slowly across the landscape. It was heading directly toward their region. "We need to evacuate," Sun said urgently. But Tay was watching Dal, the little songbird on Na's shoulder. The bird was not afraid like other animals had been when the creature approached. Instead, Dal seemed excited. He chirped loudly and spread his wings as if trying to fly toward the distant monster. "That's strange," Na said. "Dal has been acting weird all day. He keeps singing new songs I've never heard before." As they watched, the Void Stalker stopped its forward movement. The creature turned its massive head toward their farm, even though it was still very far away. For a long moment, it stood perfectly still. "It's listening," Tay whispered. Dal began to sing. The little bird's voice carried clearly across the quiet farm. His song was different from usual, more complex, with rising and falling notes that seemed to follow a pattern. As Dal sang, the Void Stalker tilted its head like a curious animal. "This is impossible," Sun breathed. "That creature destroyed our entire fleet. Why is it stopping for a bird?" Tay had no answer, but he watched in amazement as the massive creature remained motionless, its attention focused on their small farm. Dal finished his song and chirped once more. The Void Stalker's head moved slightly as if responding. "Nah," Tay said slowly. "How long has Dal been singing those new songs?" "About a week," Na replied. "Ever since the news started talking about the creature. I thought I was teaching them to him, but now I think he's teaching them to me. Lieutenant." Sun stared at the bird with new understanding. "Communication frequencies," she murmured. "What if the creature communicates through sound? What if your bird is trying to talk to it?" The idea seemed crazy, but Tay remembered how Dal had never been afraid of thunderstorms or loud noises like other birds. He was always calm and curious about new sounds. Maybe the little songbird could hear things humans could not. As evening approached, the Void Stalker began moving again, but instead of continuing toward populated areas, it turned east toward the empty mountains. It was changing course, moving away from the cities and settlements. "Dal made it change direction," Na said with wonder. Tay felt a mix of excitement and fear. If a simple songbird could communicate with the creature, maybe humans could too. Maybe they could understand what it wanted instead of just fighting it. But first, they needed to learn how to speak its language. That night, Tay sat outside with Na and Lieutenant Sun, watching the stars. In the distance, they could see the glow from the creature's body as it moved through the mountains. Dal perched on Na's finger, occasionally chirping soft notes into the darkness. "We need to study this," Sun said. "If there's really a way to communicate with that thing, it could change everything." Tay nodded. He thought about all the soldiers who had died fighting the creature, all the ships destroyed, all the families torn apart by fear. If they could find a way to talk to the Void Stalker, maybe the fighting could stop. "I want to try something," Na said quietly. She began humming, a simple melody, the same tune she often sang while working in the fields. Dal joined in with his own notes, creating a harmony. Far in the mountains, a deep sound echoed across the landscape. It was too low for humans to hear clearly, but they felt it in their bones. The Void Stalker was responding to their music. Tay smiled for the first time in days. His little sister might have found the key to saving their world. Now they just had to figure out how to use it before the military tried to destroy the creature with nuclear weapons. The universe suddenly seemed much less lonely and much more musical than anyone had ever imagined. Lieutenant Sun worked with the communication equipment she had salvaged from her crashed escape pod. She connected it to Tay's farm computer and began recording Dal's songs. The little bird seemed to understand what they were trying to do. He perched near the microphone and sang his complex melodies over and over. "Look at these patterns," Sun said, pointing to the sound waves on her screen. Dal's songs have mathematical structures. The frequency changes follow specific rules, like a language. Tay watched the colorful lines dance across the monitor. "Can you translate what he's saying?" "Not yet," Sun admitted. "But I can see that he's definitely communicating something, and the creature responds every time." Na sat nearby, humming along with Dal's songs. Sometimes she would sing a few notes, and Dal would change his melody to match her voice. "I think he's trying to teach me," she said. "The songs feel important, like they mean something." Over the past week, they had observed the Void Stalker's behavior carefully. The creature moved through the mountains, always stopping when Dal sang. It seemed to be learning too, making different sounds in response to different melodies. The deep rumbles it produced were slowly becoming more complex. "It's intelligent," Tay said with certainty. "The way it responds to music. The way it only destroys communication equipment. This isn't a mindless monster." Sun nodded grimly. "That makes it more dangerous. An intelligent enemy is harder to fight. Or easier to talk to," Tay countered. That afternoon, military vehicles surrounded their farm. Colonel Yoon Jae stepped out of an armored transport, followed by a squad of soldiers. His face was hard and tired from days of fighting the creature. "We're evacuating this area," Yoon announced. "The creature is too close. We're going to hit it with everything we have." "Wait," Tay said quickly. "We've been studying it. The creature isn't just destroying things randomly. It's trying to communicate." Colonel Yoon looked at the teenage farmer with disbelief. "Communicate? That thing killed thousands of our people. It destroyed our best ships like they were toys." Lieutenant Sun stepped forward and saluted. "Sir, I'm Lieutenant Lee Sun, Naval Communications. The boy is right. The creature only attacks communication arrays. I believe it's responding to our deep space signals." Yoon studied Sun's uniform and insignia. "You survived the fleet battle?" "Yes, sir. And I've been monitoring the creature's behavior. It shows clear signs of intelligence and possibly distress." Before Yoon could respond, Dal began singing loudly from his perch. The bird's voice carried across the farm in a complex melody that seemed to go on forever. In the distance, the deep rumble of the Void Stalker's response echoed through the mountains. "You see?" Tay said urgently. "They're talking to each other." Colonel Yoon listened to the exchange with growing amazement. The bird would sing a pattern, wait, then sing again when the creature responded. It was clearly a conversation. "Even if that's true," Yoon said finally, "my orders are to stop that creature by any means necessary. We're bringing nuclear weapons from the orbital arsenal. One strike will end this threat forever. And probably crack the planet's crust," Sun warned. "That creature is massive. A nuclear blast strong enough to kill it might destroy half the continent." Tay felt panic rising in his chest. "How long do we have?" "The weapons will be in position." "Tomorrow morning," Yoon replied. "I'm sorry, but this is our only option." After the soldiers left, Tay paced around the farm frantically. They had less than 24 hours to prove the creature could be reasoned with. But how could they communicate with something so alien and enormous? "Dal's songs are getting longer," Na observed. The little bird had been singing almost constantly since the military visit. "I think he knows something bad is coming." Sun studied her recordings with new urgency. The creature's responses are changing too. The sound patterns are becoming more desperate, more urgent. As night fell, the Void Stalker did something it had never done before. It began moving toward their farm, its massive form visible even in the darkness. With each step, the ground trembled. Its deep calls grew louder and more frequent. "It's coming here," Sun said nervously. But Tay watched Dal's behavior and realized something important. "No, it's not attacking," It's trying to get closer so Dal can hear it better. The communication is getting harder at this distance. Na stood up suddenly. I understand now, she said with excitement. Dal has been teaching me the creature's language. He wants me to talk to it directly. That's too dangerous, Tay protested. The creature stops and listens whenever I sing with Dal, Na pointed out. Maybe it can understand human voices too if we use the right patterns. Sun checked her equipment one more time. The frequency analysis shows that your voice does match some of the creature's vocal range, Na. You might actually be able to communicate with it. The Void Stalker was now only 5 kilometers away, close enough that they could see its massive shape clearly. Its 6 legs moved carefully, avoiding the farm buildings and fields. It seemed to be trying not to cause unnecessary damage. Look how careful it's being, Tay said with wonder. It doesn't want to hurt us. Dal flew to Na's shoulder and sang a short, urgent melody. Na listened carefully, then sang the same pattern back to him. The little bird chirped approvingly and sang a longer sequence. He's teaching me a specific message, Na said. Something important. The creature was now close enough that its calls could be heard clearly. The deep, complex sounds seemed to carry emotion, sadness, loneliness, and something that might have been pain. It's hurting, Na whispered. Dal is trying to tell it that we want to help. Sun's instruments detected something new. The creature is scanning our communication equipment, but it's not attacking. It's studying it, Colonel Yoon's voice crackled over their radio. All civilians in the target area, evacuate immediately. Nuclear strike will commence at dawn. Tay looked at his sister, then at the massive creature waiting patiently in their field. Tomorrow, the military would try to destroy this intelligent being that was trying so hard to communicate. Unless they could find a way to bridge the gap between human and alien understanding in the next few hours. Nah, he said quietly. I think it's time for you to try talking to it directly. The little girl nodded bravely. Dal sang one more encouraging note, then fell silent. It was time for Na to use everything the bird had taught her. The fate of 2 species hung on a 13-year-old girl's ability to sing the right song to a creature from the stars. The morning sun cast long shadows across the field where the Void Stalker waited. The massive creature had remained motionless all night, its dark form towering over the farm buildings. Tay could see military vehicles gathering on the distant hills, preparing for the nuclear strike that would come in just hours. Na stood at the edge of their field, looking up at the enormous being. Dal perched on her shoulder, occasionally chirping soft encouragement. Lieutenant Sun monitored her equipment nearby, ready to record whatever happened next. Are you sure about this? Tay asked his sister for the 10th time. Na nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. Dal taught me the basic patterns. I think I can make the creature understand that we're not its enemy. She took a deep breath and began to sing. Her young voice carried clearly across the field, following the complex melody patterns Dal had taught her. The notes rose and fell in mathematical sequences that sounded both beautiful and alien. The Void Stalker responded immediately. Its massive head turned toward Na, and it made a deep sound that seemed to come from its entire body. The creature's call was so low that Tay felt it in his bones rather than hearing it with his ears. It's working, Sun whispered, watching her instruments. The creature's energy patterns are changing. It's definitely responding to her voice. Na sang another sequence, this one longer and more complex. She stumbled over some of the notes, but Dal helped guide her with his own voice. Together, the girl and the bird created a harmony that seemed to bridge the gap between species. The creature took a careful step forward, then stopped when Na held up her hand. It understood the gesture and remained still, waiting for her to continue. For the next hour, Na and the Void Stalker engaged in the first real conversation between humans and an alien intelligence. The exchange was slow and careful, with long pauses as each side tried to understand the other. But gradually, meaning began to emerge from the musical patterns. "It's trying to tell me about pain," Na said during one of the pauses. "Something about signals that hurt." And she frowned, concentrating on the creature's last call. "It's been traveling for a very long time. It's lost and alone." Tay felt his heart break as he began to understand. This terrible creature that had destroyed their fleets was not a conqueror or a monster. It was a refugee, fleeing from something even worse. Na sang another question, and the creature's response was filled with such sadness that even Tay could hear the emotion in its alien voice. Lieutenant Sun wiped tears from her eyes as she listened to the exchange. "Its name," Na said suddenly. "It's telling me its real name, not Void Stalker. It calls itself—" She struggled with the pronunciation. "Void Singer. It's the last of its kind." The creature, Void Singer, made a sound that might have been relief. Finally, someone understood what it was trying to say. It began a longer song, its voice rising and falling in patterns that spoke of unimaginable distances and terrible loneliness. "Its home galaxy was destroyed," Na translated, tears streaming down her face. "Everything it knew, everyone it loved, all gone. It's been traveling through space for thousands of years, looking for others like itself." Sun's equipment detected new patterns in the creature's voice. "It's explaining about the communication signals. They reminded of the last cries of its people as their worlds died. Every time it hears our deep space arrays, it experiences that trauma again." Tay understood now why Void Singer had attacked the communication equipment. The signals weren't just painful. They were triggers for the worst memories imaginable. The creature was trying to make the pain stop the only way it knew how. "It didn't want to hurt anyone," Na continued. "But the signals were so painful that it had to make them stop. It thought if it destroyed the sources, the hurt would go away." Colonel Yoon's voice crackled over their radio. "Nuclear strike in 30 minutes. All personnel clear the area immediately." Tay grabbed the radio. "Colonel, you have to stop the attack. We're communicating with it. The creature isn't hostile." "I'm sorry, son," Yoon's voice replied. "But I have my orders. That thing destroyed our fleet. We can't take any chances." Na heard the radio exchange and sang urgently to Void Singer. The creature's response was immediate and alarmed. It began charging its defensive systems, preparing for another attack from the humans. "It thinks we betrayed it," Na said desperately. "It trusted us, and now it senses weapons approaching." The creature's body began to glow with energy as its defensive systems activated. If it released that energy in response to the nuclear attack, the blast could crack New Busan's continental plate. "We have to stop the strike," Tay said urgently. Lieutenant Sun was already working on her communication equipment. "I'm sending everything we've recorded to Colonel Yoon. The conversation, the translation patterns, all of it." But would it be enough? Tay watched as Void Singer's energy buildup continued. The creature was preparing to defend itself against what it saw as another human betrayal. In trying to destroy it, the military might trigger an explosion that would devastate the entire planet. Na sang frantically, trying to calm the creature and explain that not all humans wanted to hurt it. But Void Singer's trauma ran too deep. It had been alone for millennia, had trusted no one, and had learned that other species meant danger. "There's a transport coming," Sun reported, looking through her field glasses. "Someone's approaching fast." A military vehicle raced across the field toward them, throwing up clouds of dust. It stopped near their position, and Dr. Choi Hai jumped out. She was a xenolinguist who had been studying the creature's attacks from the orbital research station. "I analyzed Lieutenant Sun's transmissions," Dr. Choi said breathlessly. "The creature's communication patterns match theoretical models for bioacoustic species. You've made first contact with an intelligent alien. Tell that to the nuclear missiles." Tay replied grimly. Dr. Choi immediately began working with Sun's equipment. If I can establish a direct communication link with the creature, maybe I can convince it that not all humans are hostile. But time was running out. Void Singer's energy levels continued to climb, and the nuclear missiles were less than 20 minutes away. Na sang desperately, trying to rebuild the trust they had worked so hard to establish. Then Dal did something unexpected. The little bird flew directly toward the massive creature, landing on one of its front claws. Void Singer stopped its defensive preparations and looked down at the tiny songbird perched on its enormous limb. Dal began to sing the simplest melody Na had ever taught him, a lullaby their mother used to hum when they were very young. The sweet, innocent notes carried across the field, full of love and protection and family. Void Singer listened to the tiny bird's song, and slowly its defensive systems began to power down. The creature understood that these humans, at least, these few humans, were not its enemies. But somewhere in the sky above, nuclear weapons continued their deadly approach. The real test of trust was about to begin. 15 minutes until nuclear strike. Tay felt every second pass like a hammer blow as he watched Na sing desperately to Void Singer. The creature had powered down its defensive systems after Dal's lullaby, but its massive head kept turning toward the sky. It could sense the approaching weapons. Dr. Choi worked frantically with Lieutenant Sun's equipment, trying to establish a stronger communication link. The creature's bioacoustic patterns are incredibly complex, she said while adjusting frequencies. It's like trying to speak a language made of music and mathematics combined. I've got Colonel Yoon on the emergency channel, Sun reported. Doctor, you need to convince him to abort the strike. Dr. Choi grabbed the radio microphone. Colonel Yoon, this is Dr. Choi Hai, xenolinguist from the Orbital Research Station. We have established communication with the alien entity. It is not hostile. Repeat. The creature is not hostile. Yoon's voice crackled back, strained with tension. Doctor, that thing destroyed our entire fleet. Thousands of our people are dead. Because it was in pain, Dr. Choi responded urgently. Our deep space communication arrays trigger traumatic memories from the destruction of its home galaxy. It attacked our equipment to make the pain stop, not out of malice. There was a long pause before Yoon replied. Even if that's true, the nuclear missiles are already in flight. I don't have the authority to abort them. Na overheard the radio conversation. She sang a quick, urgent pattern to Void Singer, trying to explain what was happening. The creature's response was a deep rumble of fear and sadness. It understood that despite their communication, humans were still trying to destroy it. It's going to defend itself, Na said with tears in her voice. It doesn't want to hurt anyone, but it won't. Just let itself be killed. Void Singer's body began to glow again as its defensive systems came online. This time, the energy buildup was even stronger than before. If the creature released all that power when the nuclear weapons struck, the explosion would be catastrophic. 10 minutes until impact, Sun reported, monitoring military communications. Tay made a desperate decision. Nah, ask Void Singer if it can leave. If it flies away right now, maybe the missiles will miss. Na sang the question, but Void Singer's response was negative. The creature was too large and the weapons too close. There was no escape. Dr. Choi tried a different approach. Colonel Yoon, if the creature releases its defensive energy during the nuclear explosion, the combined blast could crack the continental plate. You'll destroy the very planet you're trying to protect. What do you suggest, Doctor? Yoon's voice showed the strain of an impossible decision. Give me 2 more minutes to establish full communication. If I can convince the creature to surrender its weapons voluntarily, we can avoid a catastrophic explosion. Yoon was quiet for a long moment. I'll try to contact Fleet Command, but I can't promise anything. Dr. Choi turned to Na with desperate urgency. I need you to tell the creature exactly what I say. This is our only chance. Na nodded, wiping tears from her eyes. Dal flew to her shoulder, ready to help translate the most important conversation in human history. Tell it that not all humans want to hurt it, Dr. Choi began. Explain that our military leaders are afraid because they don't understand. But we want to learn. Na sang the message in the complex patterns Dal had taught her. Void Singer listened carefully, its massive head tilted in concentration. Now tell it that if it powers down its weapons, we will work to stop the attack. Doctor, Choi continued, Na's voice carried the promise across the field. Void Singer considered for a long moment, then responded with a question of its own. It wants to know if we can really be trusted, Na translated. It's been alone for so long, and every time it tried to communicate with other species, they attacked it. Tell it about Dal, Dr. Choi said suddenly. Explain how a tiny bird showed more courage and compassion than our entire military. Sometimes the smallest voices carry the most truth. Na sang about Dal's bravery, about how the little songbird had crossed the vast distance between species with nothing but trust and music. Void Singer looked down at the tiny bird still perched on its claw, and something like wonder crossed its alien features. 5 minutes to impact, Sun announced. Colonel Yoon's voice returned on the radio. Dr. Choi, I've convinced Fleet Command to give you 3 more minutes, but if that creature's weapons are still active when the missiles arrive, they won't abort. 3 minutes, Dr. Choi told Na. Can you convince it to trust us in 3 minutes? Na looked up at the enormous creature that had traveled across the galaxy in loneliness and pain. She thought about all the fear and hatred that had driven humans to attack something they didn't understand. But she also thought about the music that connected all living things, and the courage of a small bird who had shown them the way. She began to sing, not the complex alien patterns Dal had taught her, but a simple human melody from her childhood. It was a song about hope and friendship, and the belief that even the darkest night would eventually give way to dawn. Dal joined her with his own voice, and together they created something new, a bridge between human and alien music, between fear and understanding, between war and peace. Void Singer listened to their duet, and slowly, very slowly, began to power down its defensive systems. The glow faded from its massive body as it chose to trust these strange, small beings who spoke, in music instead of weapons. 2 minutes to impact, Sun reported. The creature's energy levels are dropping. Dr. Choi grabbed the radio. Colonel Yoon, the creature is disarming itself. It's choosing to trust us. You have to abort those missiles. I'm trying, Doctor. But the missiles are on automatic guidance now. Unless I receive direct authorization from Admiral Park. Admiral Park is in a medical facility with severe injuries, Sun interrupted. Who has command authority now? There was chaos on the military channels as officers tried to determine the chain of command. Meanwhile, the nuclear missiles continued, their deadly approach toward a creature that had chosen peace over self-defense. 1 minute, Sun whispered. Na sang one final plea to Void Singer, asking it to forgive humanity for their fear and ignorance. The creature's response was a gentle song that spoke of understanding and hope. Then Colonel Yoon's voice cut through the static. All missiles, abort strike. Repeat, abort nuclear strike. Target is confirmed non-hostile. High above New Busan, the nuclear weapons changed course and flew harmlessly out into space. Void Singer felt the moment when the threat passed, and its great voice rose in what could only be called joy. For the first time in millennia, the lonely traveler from the stars had found someone willing to listen to its song. The nuclear missiles had been called off, but the real work was just beginning. Void Singer remained in the field next to Tae's farm, its massive form casting long shadows in the afternoon sun. Word of the successful communication had spread through the military ranks. bringing a stream of scientists, officers, and government officials to the small farming settlement. Na sat cross-legged in the grass near one of Void Singer's enormous claws, singing softly while Dal perched on her shoulder. The creature had learned to lower its voice so the vibrations wouldn't shake the ground when it responded to her songs. Even so, conversations with a being the size of a starship required patience and careful positioning. The communication patterns are becoming more sophisticated, Dr. Choi observed, studying the recordings on her portable equipment. Both sides are learning each other's language at an incredible rate. Colonel Yoon stood nearby, still struggling to accept what he was witnessing. 3 days ago, this creature had destroyed his planet's defenses. Now his 13-year-old translator was teaching it human nursery rhymes. What is it saying now? Yoon asked as Na finished a particularly long musical exchange. It's telling me about its journey through space, Na replied, her young face serious with concentration. It traveled for thousands of years, visiting dead worlds and empty systems. Every place it found had been destroyed by something it calls the Dark Swarm. Dr. Choi leaned forward with interest. Ask it what the Dark Swarm is. Na sang the question, and Void Singer's response made everyone present feel cold, despite the warm afternoon. The creature's voice carried pure terror and sadness, as it described mechanical entities that consumed all organic life, leaving only dead worlds behind. It's a machine intelligence, Na translated. Billions of robot ships that spread from galaxy to galaxy, destroying everything alive. Void Singer's people tried to fight them, but there were too many. His whole galaxy was consumed. Lieutenant Sun, who had been monitoring long-range communications, suddenly looked up from her equipment. If this creature came from outside our galaxy, and it was fleeing from these machines, are they following it here? Void Singer heard Sun's words through their translation equipment and responded with what sounded like remorse. Na listened carefully, then turned pale. It says the Dark Swarm follows the energy trails left by faster-than-light travel. By coming here, Void Singer might have led them to our galaxy. But it also says we have time, maybe hundreds of years, before they arrive. Colonel Yoon felt the weight of this revelation. Hundreds of years to prepare for an enemy that destroyed an entire galaxy? Or hundreds of years to learn from someone who survived that war, Dr. Choi pointed out. This creature has knowledge that could help us defend ourselves. Over the following days, a remarkable transformation took place. The field around Tae's farm became an impromptu research facility. Scientists set up communication equipment, linguists worked to decode Void Singer's language, and military strategists began planning for a threat beyond human imagination. Na became the center of it all, the bridge between human and alien understanding. She spent hours each day in conversation with Void Singer, learning about technologies and civilizations that had existed millions of years before Earth formed. Her young mind absorbed concepts that seasoned scientists struggled to comprehend. It's teaching me about bioacoustic resonance, Na explained to her fascinated audience. Its people could communicate across vast distances through space itself, using quantum vibrations in the cosmic background radiation. Tae watched his sister with pride and worry. She was maturing rapidly under the pressure of her unique role, but she was still just a child carrying the weight of 2 civilizations on her shoulders. How is she handling all this? Dr. Choi asked Tae during one of their breaks. Better than I am, Tae admitted. Sometimes I think she understands Void Singer better than she understands humans. Indeed, Na seemed to have a natural talent for alien communication that went beyond simple translation. She could sense Void Singer's emotions and intentions in ways that sophisticated equipment could not match. When the creature was sad, she sang comforting melodies. When it was excited about sharing knowledge, she matched its enthusiasm with complex harmonies. The breakthrough came during their second week of communication. Na had been working with Voidsinger to understand the specific technologies its people had developed to fight the Dark Swarm. Most of the weapons had proven ineffective, but there was one concept that gave Tay hope. Unity resonance, Na explained to the assembled scientists. Voidsinger's people discovered that biological life forms could link their consciousness together through acoustic harmony. When enough beings joined the resonance, they could create a collective intelligence powerful enough to outthink the machines. A hive mind? Colonel Yoon asked with concern. Not exactly, Dr. Choi said, studying the translation data. More like a voluntary network where individual consciousness remains intact but can share processing power when needed. Voidsinger demonstrated the concept by harmonizing with Na and Dal simultaneously. For a brief moment, Tay could see his sister's awareness expand beyond human limits. Her eyes reflected knowledge and perspective that seemed to encompass vast distances and deep time. When the resonance ended, Na looked exhausted, but exhilarated. "I could feel its memories," she whispered. "I saw its homeworld, its family, the last days of its civilization. And I think it felt what it's like to be human." The implications were staggering. If humans could learn to create unity resonance networks, they might be able to develop technologies and strategies that no individual mind could conceive. But it would require a level of trust and cooperation that the human species had never achieved. How many beings would be needed for effective unity resonance? Dr. Choi asked. Na posed the question to Voidsinger, then translated the response. It depends on the complexity of the problem. For basic technological development, maybe a few hundred individuals. For something like defeating the Dark Swarm, she paused, listening to Voidsinger's clarification. Millions, maybe tens of millions working in harmony. Colonel Yoon shook his head. Humans can barely agree on trade policies. How could we possibly achieve that level of cooperation? But Tay was thinking about something else. He looked at his sister, who had bridged the gap between species through nothing more than music and empathy. He thought about Dal, a tiny bird who had shown more courage than entire armies. He considered Voidsinger, a being that had chosen trust over revenge despite millennia of trauma. "Maybe we start small," he suggested. "With a farm, a bird, a girl who can sing, and a creature that was willing to listen." Na smiled and began a new song, one that seemed to blend human melodies with alien harmonies. Dal joined in with his clear voice, and Voidsinger added its own deep notes to the chorus. Other humans began humming along, tentatively at first. Then with growing confidence. For a few magical moments, the music connected them all, human and alien, military and civilian, young and old. In that harmony, Tay could glimpse the possibility of something greater than any individual species could achieve alone. The first steps toward unity resonance had begun in a simple farm field, with a song that spoke of hope bridging the darkness between stars. 6 months later, New Busan had become the most important world in human space. What had started as a small farming planet was now the center of the greatest scientific and cultural revolution in galactic history. Ships arrived daily from across the Terran Federation, bringing scientists, diplomats, artists, and ordinary citizens who wanted to witness the miracle of interspecies cooperation. The creature once known as Void Stalker had chosen a new name for itself: Song. It lived peacefully in Crystal Lake, the largest body of water on New Busan, where its massive form could rest comfortably while remaining close to the communications center built on Tai's family farm. Tay stood on the observation platform overlooking the lake, watching his sister work with a group of human children. Na, now 14, had become humanity's first xenoacoustic specialist. She taught others the complex art of bioacoustic communication, helping to build the network of human-alien translators that would be essential for the challenges ahead. So, morning harmony session went well, Dr. Choi reported, joining Tai on the platform. She had been appointed as the head of the New Busan Institute for Interspecies Communication, a facility that attracted the brightest minds from across human space. How many participants today? Tay asked. Nearly 500, Dr. Choi replied with satisfaction. We're getting closer to achieving basic unity resonance with purely human groups. Once we master that, we can begin incorporating Song's knowledge into our collective consciousness. Down by the lake, Na led the children in a complex harmony exercise. Their voices blended together in mathematical patterns that Song had taught them, creating music that seemed to resonate with the quantum structure of space itself. The massive alien lifted its head above the water's surface and added its own, deep notes to their song. Watching them, Tay marveled at how natural it had all become. Children who had been born after the first contact adapted to alien music as easily as they learned human languages. They played games with Song, splashing in the shallows around its enormous legs, while it carefully avoided disturbing their activities. The integration is remarkable, Colonel Yoon observed, approaching from the main facility. He had been promoted to general and now commanded the Joint Human-Alien Defense Initiative. My military strategists are working directly with Song to develop new defensive technologies. The creature's knowledge of galactic warfare is beyond anything we ever imagined. Song had shared detailed information about hundreds of civilizations it had encountered during its lonely journey across the void. Most had been destroyed by the Dark Swarm, but a few had developed innovative resistance strategies before falling. By combining the best elements from dozens of failed defenses, human scientists were developing weapons and tactics that might actually work against the mechanical invaders. Any word on the early warning systems? Tay asked. Song helped us place bioacoustic sensors throughout the outer systems, Yoon replied. If the Dark Swarm enters our galaxy, we'll have decades of advance warning instead of years, time enough to evacuate vulnerable populations and establish proper defensive positions. But defense was only part of the story. Song's presence had opened doorways to knowledge that went far beyond military applications. The creature remembered the locations of hundreds of habitable worlds, many of them in systems humans had never explored. It knew about energy sources that could power entire civilizations, healing techniques that could extend human lifespans, and artistic traditions that expanded the very definition of beauty. Lieutenant Sun, now Captain Sun, managed the cultural exchange programs. Former military officers worked alongside poets and musicians to decode alien art forms. Engineers collaborated with philosophers to understand technologies that required new ways of thinking about physics and consciousness. The children are our greatest hope, Sun said, joining the group on the observation platform. Adults have to unlearn old patterns of thought, but kids like those down there are growing up bilingual in human and alien concepts. They'll be the ones to truly master unity resonance. Dal, now famous throughout human space as the tiny bird who had made first contact possible, perched on Ty's shoulder. The songbird had learned dozens of alien melodies and often served as a bridge when translation became difficult. He chirped softly and flew down to join Na's harmony session. As afternoon settled over New Busan, Song began its daily sharing session. The creature would sing the history of lost civilizations, preserving their stories in bioacoustic patterns that humans were slowly learning to decode. Each tale was a treasure trove of knowledge, but also a warning about the fate that awaited species who could not adapt to the coming darkness. The Dark Swarm destroyed my people because we fought as individuals, Song had explained through Na's translation. Each world defended itself alone. We never learned to truly unite until it was too late. That mistake would not be repeated. Already, human colonies throughout the galaxy were installing bioacoustic communication systems. Children on distant worlds practiced the same harmony exercises as the students on New Busan. Slowly but steadily, humanity was building the foundation for a unified consciousness that could think and act on a galactic scale. Tay often thought about the night when he had first seen Void Singer descending from the stars, bringing what seemed like certain destruction. Now, he watched children play in the shadow of the same creature, their laughter mixing with alien songs in a harmony that spoke of hope instead of fear. "Do you ever regret staying on the farm that night?" Dr. Choi asked, as if reading his thoughts. Tay considered the question seriously. His life had been forever changed by the decision to trust rather than flee. He was no longer a simple farmer, but a bridge between species, helping to shape the future of galactic civilization. Na would never have a normal childhood, burdened, as she was with responsibilities that no young person should have to carry. But then he watched his sister teach a human child to sing a lullaby that Song had learned from its own parents billions of years ago. He saw the joy on both their faces as they created something beautiful together, something that neither species could have achieved alone. "No," he said finally. "I think we're exactly where we're supposed to be." As the sun set over Crystal Lake, Song began the evening meditation that had become a tradition for the growing community. Its voice rose from the water in deep, resonant notes that seemed to connect the planet with the stars above. One by one, humans joined the song: scientists and soldiers, children and elders, farmers and philosophers. Their combined voices created a harmony that reached beyond New Busan, beyond the solar system, out into the vast darkness where other species waited to hear that they were not alone. It was a song of unity and hope, of different voices joining together to create something greater than the sum of their parts. The boy who had tamed the beast that terrified armies had become a man who helped forge an alliance that would defend the galaxy, and in the peaceful evening harmony that connected worlds, both human and alien, Tay could hear the future singing back to them. A future where understanding triumphed over fear, where diversity became strength, and where the music of different species joined together in the eternal song of life among the stars. The dark swarm was still coming, somewhere in the darkness between galaxies. But when it arrived, it would find not scattered individual worlds fighting alone, but a unified consciousness spanning dozens of species, all singing the same song of defiance and hope. The melody that had begun with a small bird's courage had become a symphony that would echo across the cosmos.